me out. I am Matt. I'm Austin. Everybody already knows me, hopefully. This is Griffin.
Griffin.
You want to explain what you do?
So currently I work at the Midwestern Broadcasting Company here in town. I work for 105.7 The Bird, which is a radio station here in town. That's currently what I do. And I'm a full-time dad. Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about being a dad then?
Favorite thing about being a dad is the opportunity to help grow children to be good people. I think that is one of my biggest responsibilities as a parent, is to just help these kids grow up to not be, as much of a maniac as they're probably going to grow up to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you like about working on the radio station then?
What I like about the live aspect of it. So my first couple shows that I have, I pre-recorded them. So I went in the day before, which is cool. I mean, that is, because you can sound perfect.
Yeah.
You can sound literally. But to me, live radio, there is some beauty in the imperfection of when I do talk and I do screw up. So really, it's going live is one of the funnest, most adrenaline rushing things I've ever done.
I bet.
So, I mean, really, that's because I could at any moment
Just say one wrong.
say one wrong thing, and
Yeah.
it all kind of, as long as I keep it PG and use common sense, I should never have a problem. And I don't have a mouth like a sailor, so I should be okay. But really, the live stuff is awesome.
I bet. I've never thought about doing that actually. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is because I'm really familiar with like Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Like that's really where I've got my comfort level with recording myself in the moment. With live radio, there is so much you got to remember, and there's buttons, and I mean, it is. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's my thing, my calling. I like it. Yeah.
So what makes you want to speak in front of people then?
I think it was growing up. I've never really been shy. As a kid, my parents, we moved around quite a bit. And so really, I think as a young kid, I had to get really comfortable with talking to people and getting familiar, because I felt like every 3 or 4 years, my dad was an administrator in the school system, so he was getting different jobs around Michigan, and just around Alpena too, I had to make a new set of friends, I felt like every 5 years. So I think really the talking that it's, as a kid, it was just ingrained in me. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You said you moved around a lot, right?
I did.
Do you mean just in Alpena or like throughout all Michigan?
I kind of throughout all Michigan. I was born in Port Huron, down there in the Thumb, and then from Port Huron, as a child, I lived up on Beaver Island, which is between the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula in Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
From Beaver Island, I remember my dad getting the big job in Alpena, Michigan, when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and we moved over from Beaver Island to Alpena. And I remember seeing like 3 McDonald's for the first time, going, whoa, that's crazy. We had Kmart at the time, going into Kmart, and never seeing so many fluorescent lights before in my life. Like I felt like I was living in New York City. But then, I lived in Alpena throughout junior high school. When I got out of high school, I moved to Grand Rapids for a while, then the Detroit area for a stint of about 10 years.
So why'd you come back to Alpena?
At that time, I was watching a lot of my friends get married and have kids. I felt like that was a part of my life where it was either I was going to just work as a solo individual for the rest of my life, or I wanted to venture into, kind of the family aspect. And that's, at that point in my life, I had to make the decision to move home or stay in the position that I was in. So I decided to move home, and it was literally the best decision I've ever made before in my life, was to move home. As kind of embarrassed, I felt like a dog with his tail between his legs. I was like, oh man, but I came home, to wonderful family businesses that my family had going on that they luckily let me take part in, and now because of that, I have 3 wonderful children, and I feel like I am more me than I am ever right now. It's true. Yeah.
It's part of being a dad now. So.
Part of being a dad. Yep, gotta be you.
Yeah. So, you said you got family that own business up here in Okinawa?
Yep, correct.
What businesses did they own?
So my sister Molly has Cabin Creek Coffee, which, yeah, she owns Cabin Creek Coffee. They're going on their 14th, 15th year.
That's crazy.
And then they have the local basket case and True North Threads. And so between them, I mean, there was enough to keep us all busy. And but after doing that for about 8 years of working with the family, I ventured off and started my own business.
What was your business called?
Cedar and Threads, and that was right downtown on Chisholm and First Street. But then, you know, sometimes life throws you hiccups, and so unfortunately, my wife and I separated, and that business kind of dissolved. But you know what? I don't see it as I learned a lot from being part of a small business, but now it's allowed me to get in the radio. So, you know, it just goes to show, as much as you think the world is just collapsing on you and you know, things aren't going your way, give it a little bit of time and you'll see that, hey, it was actually all really meant to be.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate actually for all the good things and bad things that have happened to me in my life, because it's gotten me to sit with you right here.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
So what was your business about then? Like,
it was a retail business. It had a little bit of food, clothing, kind of unique items that were sourced here in the United States that gave back in some way, shape, or form. So
how long was it open for?
3 years.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so it's just one of those, small businesses come and they go.
When things happen though, so.
The amount of stuff I learned from being part and being kind of in the driver's seat of a small business, I feel like are priceless going down the road, just for overall, yeah.
So do you like own the business more or talking on the radio?
Talking on the radio now. I have found that's all what I wanted to do all the time when I was at the store, was just talk. Like, I felt like at the tail end there, I had more people, God love it, would come in and just to talk to me. Not even necessarily to buy anything, but just to come in and go, hey, Griff, more so just to connect, have that human connection. So, you know, I felt like as a business owner, it was more so than just selling you this product. It was asking how your day's going. I feel like that can move mountains with some people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just going, hey, like, you know, and I, if someone I kind of noticed was having a bad day or was wearing a hurt on their sleeve, crying, or I would say, hey, what's up? What's going on? You know, and that usually led to about a 3-hour conversation. You know, just crying, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone home with tears on my shirt. So, you know, I've heard it all, and it was a huge responsibility of mine to listen. Yeah, not just talk.
So when you talk on the radio, then what do you normally talk about?
So I've had a lot of people ask me that. So Griff, what do you talk about? Like, what's your? And right now, really for me, is I talk about my kids, and I talk about things that tie in with songs that we may have just heard or coming up. So I'm a big movie buff. I feel like I know a lot of songs that are in a lot of iconic movies. So I'll be like, hey, do you remember this one from the Quentin Tarantino flick? And so kind of tying in movies with music, but I bring a humble, realistic voice, local voice, and I talk about just being a dad and the trials and tribulations of that.
So what motivated you? What made you want to come back to Okinawa?
Well, at that point in time, I had kind of exerted, I felt like I moved away from Alpena to prove a point and, you know, prove that I could live out on my own. After a decade of doing it, I'm kind of like, okay, I did it. I got homesick. I missed the small amenities of a small town. I miss my family, you know, all my family lives here in Alpena. So as you get older, it's crazy. Like, it's so true. Like, your parents are right. Like, as you get older, you start to appreciate your family so much to the point where you go, hey, I'm going to uproot and move home. So that's what brought me back to Alpena, and that's where I'll stay.
So when you were in high school, did you play any sports?
I played some basketball and I played some football.
Okay. Did you like more basketball or football?
Back in high school, I liked basketball at the time, because I feel like basketball was cooler back when I was in high school. Like it was the day of like Allen Iverson, Jason Williams, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. Like there was just this era of basketball play. It was like cool. You had the starter jackets,
I know what you're talking about.
the quarter zips, like the Seattle the Hornets, and I mean it was like a fad to like.
Yeah.
So I think back in high school, I liked basketball because it just was like the cool thing to get into. But now in my almost I'm almost 40. I'm more into football than I ever have been before in my life. I love it. I think it's.
So what positions did you play in basketball and football?
Basketball, I was power forward. When I was younger, they always put me as center, which I always felt like I was a little bit more mobile. You know, nothing against in basketball.
Okay.
I was always the tallest kid, so they always put me in like this. I was always like, well, but I can dribble kind of, and I'm a pretty good shooter. So when I got into high school, I was more of a power forward, and then they always had me on the line, usually defensive line for football. So which was fun. Yeah. So, yeah.
When I played basketball, I'm a shooting guard. Football, I played middle linebacker, right guard.
You know, in football too, the glory spots of like wide receivers and running backs and quarterback. You know, I always envied those positions. Someone was like, you're like a superhero, man.
Yeah.
Like you're it. Everybody's watching you catch the 40-yard pass and the quarterback. I mean, you're the captain of the ship.
What's crazy is you don't realize how much the line helps out until you play football.
Oh, absolutely. You know, in football,
Because
once you actually play, you go, holy cow.
Except the line gets all the glory when they're doing the job.
Yep.
Protecting your quarterback and running back.
Really, with football, football fascinates me now because everything, especially when it comes to offense, is such a split-second decision. If the center doesn't snap it just in time, the quarterback can't get the throw off.
Yeah.
You're that split second off, where then the wide receiver isn't catching it because it's off their route. To me, that is awesome. It's all about timing and the finesse of timing.
So my last year I got third in the state, my team.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
We were third best team in the state. We were the best conditioned.
Whoa.
We have amazing coaches, so.
Yeah. Well, it all starts at the top, right? Just with anything. I mean, any business or sports team. I mean, if you don't have a solid core, if you don't have a solid, coach,
And
coaches.
all our coaches play football too.
Yeah.
So
And
we
that
helped
helps.
out a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to get to a point where I actually coach soccer. I've never played soccer before in my
I've never
life.
even cared for
That was,
soccer.
I was just like run around. I think I would like to get to a point where I do coach football or basketball. This isn't with my boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm trying to make my boys like the next
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, Randy Moss. With my 5-year-old, I'll be like, "Hey Everett," I'll throw him a ball when he's not looking, and now he's at a point where he'll turn around and catch it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Hey, one day I'd like to be a football coach or something to do with Alpena sports. I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think it'd be but that's not for many moons. I still gotta get down the road with the radio and I got a lot of growing still to do.
So, what about the community makes you want to help it out more?
Great question. Because what brings the drive for you to want to do any good in a community? For me, it was leaving for that 10 years. You don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And the small town finesse of just knowing people's names. Like walking down the street going, "Hey, Billy, what's up?" Or walking into one of the fine restaurants we have around here, and they know your name. They know that half the places around here know I like Shirley Temples. I have a Shirley Temple on the table even before I sit down. So, it's geographically, you can live wherever you want. You can live in the most beautiful places in the world. It comes down to the people. So really for Alpena has some of the most empathetic, loving, supportive folks I've ever seen before in my life.
I can agree with that.
And living in the busyness of cities. So, and I recommend this to anybody wanting to broaden their horizons. But if you say you're born and raised in Alpena, you've never left. You've maybe been in Ohio a couple times. But just to, if after high school to travel a little bit, if you have the means to, if college isn't, your cup of tea. College wasn't my cup of tea. School wasn't my cup of tea. I had a hard time sitting there and listening. I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to be out working. I wanted to get a paycheck.
Yep.
So, really for me, school was never my cup of tea. And so it took me too long to understand that, that maybe school wasn't. But to go out and venture and to explore the world and, see what other communities and towns have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit is a great place to get a crash, to get to see all walks of life and then to bring that back to Alpena, to bring back your city living to, but really it's the people here that will keep me here forever. I love the people here. I just do.
Good.
Yeah.
I agree with that, honestly. I feel like it's gonna be the same for me. Like when I graduate high school, I'm going to college, I know that.
Yeah.
I decided like that.
Yeah.
So whenever I graduate high school, I'm gonna do what you said. I want to like travel around.
Just you don't have to
Like,
you don't have to go to Africa. Go check out Texas.
Like what it's like to be out of Alpena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Alpena is like it's a perfect sized town, honestly.
Yeah, you got about 10,000 people. It's a humble amount of people, but just to even to be treated, it's this is weird to say, but one of the greatest things was some of the mistreating that I got in bigger cities, because it made me go, wow, that's not what you would ever say in Alpena. That's not what you'd ever see or do in Alpena.
Yeah.
So you have to, I think, the sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. So you really gotta. Being part of Grand Rapids and Detroit and wonderful, beautiful towns, and Detroit still is always, I'll always have a love for Detroit. Alpena is where I will grow old. And
So what do you like about Detroit then while you're down there? What did you find new that was interesting, that was different about
people. I felt like you never saw the same person once. To me, that was crazy, because I feel like in Alpena, you go into Walmart or, you see the same. You see your teacher from 6th grade. You see in Detroit, there's always new faces.
Oh yeah.
There was always activity. There was. I'm a big Coney Island guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit's the epicenter of Coney Islands.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was the barbecue too. I'm a big foodie. So the food in Detroit alone, I fell in love with. But there was there was some grit, there was some roughness around the edges to Detroit people that humbled me, because I felt like I was a little soft coming from northern Michigan. I was a little sheltered kid from northeast Michigan, and so it made me grow up and go, not everybody's nice and not everybody's gonna like you.
That's very true.
From a small town, you can go, everybody loves me, everybody likes me. That's not the truth. So
found that out the hard way.
yeah. So I do enjoy Alpena, and at your age, it's like when I was your age, I couldn't wait to get out of here. I was like, oh, I can't wait to go and be an adult. That is I feel like our biggest problems as human beings is that when we're young, we go, I can't wait to get old. Can't wait to get older. Then when we're older, we go, I wish I was young. I wish I was young again. Why did I wish for this? But family is everything, and when I was your age, I wanted to get out, and I did, and I was fortunate enough to be able to come back. So
It's pretty cool though.
yeah, you're pretty cool.
So thank you for being here, Griff. I hope to interview again. So, appreciate it.